What's going on, guys? Galaxy Gaming here on Saturday, August 9th, and in front of me is my entire inventory that I'm going to be bringing to the Albany Capital Region Card Show this Sunday, August 10th. So I figured this would be kind of a cool way to kind of show what I'm going to be bringing to the table and kind of some of the thought process, and honestly start answering some of your guys' questions that you've asked me. I thought this would be a really good opportunity to do that. So we're going to go through, we're going to just kind of vibe out, answer some questions, show off the inventory. All the prices are going to be what the prices are going to be at the show, which is super cool. So I think just a quick background of me. So I have been collecting cards ever since probably elementary school. So back in the late 90s, I've always been super into collecting Pokemon, and it's always been a very big passion for me. I can't remember a time where Pokemon wasn't a major part of my life, all the way from elementary school to now. And one day, I remember very vividly, it was probably back in 2017, 2018, me and my buddies were kind of driving back from doing a card crawl, and we are all just kind of showing the things that we liked and didn't like about, certain card shows or card shops rather. And I was just like, man, there's got to be a way to do it different. So that's where kind of the passion became from. So I decided to build the brand, figure out what the things I really liked about certain card shows or certain card shops and what I didn't like about them, and ultimately Galaxy Gaming was born. Got a nice little Zard there. So I've been kind of plugging away at it for quite some time. I've been in the hobby for quite some time, so a lot of my kind of passion for the hobby kind of came from the start, or just kind of showing things that I again liked, didn't like. So that's kind of how I started, and I was always obsessed with watching things like Pawn Stars or YouTube videos of how people buy and sell and trade, more on the shoes and the sports cards. I always thought that was fascinating, so that's kind of how I started with social media. I also did streaming way back in the day when I was in college, streaming video games like Halo and Call of Duty. So I kind of had a sense of streaming in general, so I decided, hey, let's try to merge the two and just continue learning and growing, and that's kind of where it led to me here. So some of the questions that you guys have had for me. So one of them was, how did I get into Pokemon card reselling? So I feel like I've been doing this for a very long time, even as far back as, like I mentioned before, elementary school, where selling cards at my parents' garage sales or stuff like that, and always having a sense of, only sell the stuff that you're willing to sell. My parents really ingrained into me to never trade cards unless you have duplicates of them, and a lot of that kind of translated to what I do now. I think another reason how I got into it was there was really no way for me to share my collection, so it was always just kind of stuck in a binder, and I loved and appreciated every single one of them, all the cards that I had, but there really wasn't a way to share that experience with folks. So I think for me, going to card shows is honestly a way that I can bond with a community like people like yourselves and really kind of nerd out and look at some really cool cards. One of the things I like to do is I always like to have at least one copy of pretty much everything at my booth. It's very rare that I have duplicates because I like that variety. I like that ability to be like, wow, you have this card, or just seeing the reaction of people's faces. And I think that's really one of the main draws for me as a Pokemon reseller, is to help someone finally find that chase card that they've been looking for forever. So I just kind of stumbled upon it with garage sales, and then ended up going to trading with local game stores, and then finally just made the leap and tried it myself, and I've been loving it ever since. I've been doing it. This is almost my third year now, which is crazy, and I love the people that I've met in the hobby doing it. The next one, what is the rarest card you have ever had a chance to evaluate? So a little context for that. So one of the things I like to do on Wednesdays is I do what's called grade review. And so grade review is a way for me, kind of going back to the community, making it so that I try to help people as much as I can on how to properly assess cards, and more importantly, how to assess them if you're intending on grading. Grading is very popular, especially through PSA, and so a lot of people get false information from bigger content creators or people that are trying to mislead, either willingly or unwillingly, or unknowingly or knowingly, and just trying to point people in the right direction. So probably the most rarest card that I've done that for has to be the first edition Shadowless Charizard, which, if you guys have been following me for a while, I have had the privilege to add to my personal collection after reviewing it. So it went through the review process, it showed up on my desk to clean and to process, and I sent it out to PSA, came back as a 4 because there was some pretty notable whitening, but that one is very special to me, and I don't think I'll ever get rid of it unless I really need to, but that one was pretty big for me. Another question that I have: what is your opinion on sealed product or investing? Tips and tricks to knowing when and where to be able to get decent pricing without having wholesale or distributor type pricing. So I've been very vocal in terms of, the easy answer for people who are trying to view this hobby as an investment. The easiest answer I can give to you is just buy sealed and sit on it forever. If you really want the quick, dirty answer, that's it. If anyone tells you different, then that's, in my opinion, not fully correct, or it doesn't paint the full story if you're looking for an investment perspective. But I will say, for sealed, one of the things to keep in mind is that at this point everyone has the same idea, so everyone's going to have the same sealed Destined Rivals boxes or 151 or all those, because everyone now knows to keep their cards safe and knows to keep their cards pristine, as well as the booster boxes or ETBs or anything like that. Whereas in the past, we didn't really know, that the hobby was going to be so crazy. So that's why a lot of those boxes like Base Set, Jungle, Fossil, Aquapolis, Expedition are so expensive, because, they didn't really print a lot, or people just opened them, right? So that's some of the things you got to kind of think about. Me personally, I like to just simply collect the cards or the chases that are out of those sets, more so for insurance purposes and more for protection against the elements, because any sealed collector knows that the moment you see any rip or mild tear, the value severely diminishes, even if you have it in a acrylic case or something like that. If you don't temperature control or have a storage unit that is temperature and humidity controlled, there are so many different factors that will ultimately impact the overall value of those sealed product. So, and in terms of where to get them, how I normally handle it if I ever were to buy sealed is normally it's kind of funny, the scalpers are actually a weird way of getting them for cheap. And the reason why I say that is most of them can't afford to hold on to those boxes long term. So they are forced oftentimes to sell at a loss. So that will often result in cheaper prices for you for ETBs or booster boxes, because they simply can't afford to hold on to them long term. So if you're truly looking at it from like an investment perspective, that is the way I go about doing it. What's the most ridiculous offer you've had for a trade or sell? There's really not one that kind of comes to mind, to be quite honest with you. The only thing that is really kind of ridiculous, in my opinion, is people trying to get, creative in the calling certain actions as challenges. So like trade ups or trade downs or stuff like that. It's really just equates to, I want to trade at a higher percentage than you would probably offer, or I want this card to be valued at 110% market. I don't think that's very transparent. I think the challenge aspect has been overly used, and I think a lot of people just get annoyed by it, to be quite honest with you. I don't mind, I'd rather give stuff away for free to kids than do any sort of trade-up challenges, because there's so many people that try to sneak their way in or do it, and it's just not a good look. No one really likes it anymore, to be quite honest with you. And I hope that it's kind of a dying trend, to be quite honest with you. But again, for kids and stuff, I'd rather just give the stuff away for free. That's literally my main answer to that. What do I find most gratifying about the services you provide? That's a really good question. I think ultimately I want to be known as someone that advocates for the little guy or advocates for the true collector. I don't do this. I don't sell. I don't spend the time pricing cards on a weekend or weekday until 3 a.m. I don't do it for, putting food in my mouth or paying rent. I do this strictly for the passion and love of the hobby. I have lost count on the number of times I really was touched or really felt good about talking with someone for 15-20 minutes, just kind of nerding out about collecting goals or just the past, nostalgia, stuff like that over, and ultimately it only costs, or I only made $20. Those are more memorable than the haggle back and forth and then selling like a $500 card, right? I think a lot of the services that I do provide allows me to be my true self and allows me to be as transparent with folks as I possibly can, which in turn, gets repeat customers, and I get to see a lot of the people that I truly want to see back to back at shows, whether it's in Albany or Saratoga or wherever. Wherever my kind of journey takes me, I always like to see people that resonate with my content, with how I do business. It's a very good feeling. So a lot of those services generate that. So I'd say the community aspect and making sure that I kind of speak up on behalf of the little guy and making sure that you guys are as well informed as you possibly can. That's ultimately why I do it. I don't do it for money. I just do it solely for fun of the hobby, and obviously the money aspect is always nice, and I wouldn't be doing it if I always lost money, but it's not the biggest draw. Do I personally like AI robot grading services? I think that AI at the moment, I feel like this is going to be a very boomer-esque take, but AI services as a whole are really kind of being pushed into every asset of our community and every facet of life. And so just trying to navigate what AI is really trying to do in these spaces. Normally with fast growing technology, there are many doors that open up for scams or AI tools that aren't built as optimally as they probably should because they just needed out the door, right? They need to start making money as soon as possible with the flagship of AI. So I think it definitely has a place in grading and card collecting in general. But I do still think that it is more of a verify component as opposed to fully trusting it and fully having it verify itself, because there's no one kind of watching the watcher. For example, I think a really good use of AI would be something like through PSA, where the grader is still a person, but you have AI at the end to verify during their QA check. I think that would be an extremely good example of AI and human interaction for grading specifically. But as long as people are careful and as long as people kind of verify that the data that they're getting is legit, I don't mind it. But if you just fully have blind faith in AI and you let it do everything, that's not good, in my opinion. I work on my side job, I work in technology in general, and a lot of that AI is very, very very popular and very fast to catch a lot of eyeballs because it's the newest thing to talk about. What started it all for you? When did the spark of Pokemon cards come into your life? Like I mentioned it in the beginning of the video, but I think I can kind of expand on it a little bit more. So one of my friends at a birthday party started collecting Pokemon cards for the first time, and I'd always go over to his house before school, and I noticed that he had these cards, and they were super cool. Him and his friends were super into it, and I had no idea what it was. So I asked him, I learned more about it, and I was absolutely hooked. I still remember my first 2 cards that I ever got were a Charmander and a Tangela from base set, and I was so stoked to get them. And I still have the originals to this day, which is really cool. But that's really how I kind of got into it, was through friends at school and getting the games for Christmas. I got the special edition Pikachu, playing Pokemon Red and Blue and Yellow with my dad and my friends. So a lot of kind of friends during elementary and middle school is when I really kind of got into it. And I just started collecting ever since. I remember bringing change, and I'd always try to scrounge up as much money as I possibly could, because my family wasn't very, wealthy. So, but I learned at a young age that if I worked or if I did X, then I would receive, allowances or funds or whatever to buy the things that I really wanted. So I really kind of learned quickly to develop a really good work ethic to save up and get the things that I wanted, and that was often Pokemon cards. And so anytime I had a birthday, I'd always ask for Pokemon. If it was Christmas, I'd always ask for Pokemon. So it was always just like that ever since I was a kid. And again, that love and passion and a lot of the friendships and the community I've built along the way has always stuck with me. And that's one of the biggest reasons why I still love this hobby, and I think I'll always love this hobby. So I appreciate you guys as always, and for those of you who will be at the Albany show on Sunday, I look forward to seeing you. If not, I will see you guys virtually on another time.